never believed in fate. I never believed in second chances. But if you're listening to this, then you need to hear the truth. Because I died. And somehow, I woke up in someone else's life. My name is Maya Sharma. I was 34 years old. I lived in Indiranagar, Bangalore, a busy neighborhood filled with coffee shops, tech startups, and old houses being torn down for high-rise apartments. I had a normal life, a husband, a daughter, a job, but I was not happy. I woke up every morning with the same feeling in my chest, like something was missing, like I was just going through the motions of my own life. I worked as an HR manager at a large IT company in a Whitefield. Every morning, I took the same Ola cabs to work, the same streets, the same traffic, the same endless cycle. My husband, Arjun, was distant. He had stopped loving me years ago, but we stayed together because of our 8-year-old daughter, Shia. And in some ways, she was the only thing that kept me alive. December 4th, 2023, the last day of my life. It was raining that evening. Bangalore traffic was at its worst. I had finished work late. The office was nearly empty, except for the cleaning staff. I called Arjun. "I'll be home in an hour." "Okay," he said. No love, no concern. I sighed and got into the Ola cab. The driver, an older man with tired eyes, glanced at me through the mirror. "Madam, traffic is heavy. Should I take the flyover?" I checked Google Maps. It showed severe congestion loss on the main road. "Yes, take the flyover," I said. I looked out the window. The rain poured over the city, flashing neon lights, wet roads, a familiar feeling in my chest. Emptiness. And then, the main truck came out of nowhere. I heard the driver shout. I saw the headlights blinding me. I felt the impact. The world spun. Glass shattered, metal twisted. Pain exploded in my skull. Then, everything went black. When I opened my eyes, I was standing outside my own body. Lying in the wreckage, blood, twisted steel. The cab driver was slumped over the wheel, unmoving. And me? I was just staring at myself. I was dead, and yet I could still see. I could still feel. And I could still hear the sound of sirens in the distance. I watched as people ran toward the accident. A young man pulled out his phone. "Someone call an ambulance," he shouted. Another woman gasped, covering her mouth. "She's dead," she whispered. I turned, looking at myself, my broken body lying in the wreckage. And yet, here I was, standing, breathing, existing. Was this a dream? Or was this what happens after death? I tried to move, but my feet weren't touching the ground. It was as if I was floating. Then, suddenly, I was somewhere else. The hospital. I stood in a sterile white corridor. Doctors rushed past me, a nurse's voice. "She's unresponsive." I turned and saw my own body being wheeled into an emergency room. My face was pale. Blood covered my clothes. And yet, I felt nothing. I stepped forward, my hands passing through the door. Inside, the doctors were working frantically. BP dropping. "We're losing her." One of the nurses held my hand. She didn't realize that I was already gone. I wanted to tell her, to tell all of them. "I'm still here." But they couldn't hear me. And then, the monitor flatlined. A long, steady beep, and I knew I was really dead. The funeral. I blinked, and suddenly, I was somewhere else. A crematorium. My family was there. Arjun, Sia, my mother. All dressed in white, my mother was crying softly. Sia held her father's hand, looking around in confusion, and Arjun, he just stared at my body, his face blank. No tears, no pain. And for the first time, I realized the truth. He had stopped loving me a long time ago, and now he was just waiting for this to be over. Shaz, goodbye. My daughter stepped forward. She was too young to understand, but she knew. Something was wrong. She touched my lifeless hand. Mama, wake up. Tears filled her small eyes. Why isn't Mama waking up? And my heart shattered. Because she was the only one who truly needed me. I screamed. I begged. Sha, I'm here. I'm here. But no one could hear me. No one could see me. Was Ott gone? I closed my eyes, and then everything changed. Darkness. For the first time since the accident, there was nothing. No voices, no light, no memories. Then, suddenly, I woke up. A hospital room. A ceiling fan spinning lazily overhead. Bright white walls. The smell of antiseptic and something else, something familiar. I felt pain. A deep, dull ache in my chest, my arms, my legs. I took a shaky breath. I was alive. But something was conca wrong. This wasn't Bangalore. This wasn't my home. This wasn't my body. I lifted my hands, staring at them. Smaller. Paler. My heart pounded. I looked around the room. A mirror stood against the far wall. With great effort, I turned my head. And the moment I saw my reflection, my blood ran cold. It wasn't me. The woman staring back had what shoulder-length brown hair, hazel eyes, a face I didn't recognize. I tried to scream, but the door on Dai burst open, and a man rushed inside. Elena, you're awake. I blinked. The man was young, late 30s. His eyes were red-rimmed, filled with tears. He grabbed my hand. Oh my God, I thought I lost you. His voice again broke. My mouth went dry. Who was he? Why was he crying for me? And then he pulled me into a tight hug. I love you, Elena. My breath caught. Elena, was that my name now? I stared past him at my reflection. This wasn't my body. This wasn't my life. I had died. So how was I still here? The days passed in a blur. The man, David Weinstein, never left my side. He told me everything, that I had been in a coma for 9 to 3 months, that I had survived a near-fatal drowning, that he was my Dakin husband. I listened, numb. None of it made that sense. I was Maya Sharma. I was from Bangalore. I had a daughter. But now, I was Elena Parker. And I was in San Francisco. The struggle of being someone else. I tried to act normal, to be Elena. But everything felt wrong. I didn't recognize my own hands. I didn't remember our home. I didn't even know what Elena did for a living. And worst of all, I missed Shia. I missed my daughter. So much it hurt. Every night, I closed my eyes and saw her face, her big, tear-filled eyes at my funeral, and I whispered into the darkness, I'm sorry, but no one could hear me. The first glitch happened a month later. David and I were walking along Baker Beach. The waves crashed against the shore. The sun hung low in the sky. and suddenly, the world flickered. For less than a second, the sand beneath my feet turned into the pavement of Bangalore's MG Road. The sky became cloudy, and I saw Sha. She was standing in the middle of the street, calling my name. And then, everything snapped back to normal. The ocean, David, the golden sunset. I gasped. David frowned. "Are you okay?" I shook my head, because I wasn't. Something was terribly wrong. I wasn't just living Elena's life. I was being pulled between two worlds. The second glitch was worse. I was at home, brushing my hair, and suddenly, I wasn't in San Francisco anymore. I was in my old house in Bangalore. I saw my mother sitting at the dining table, staring at a photograph of me. She was whispering my name, crying. And then, everything snapped back. I was Elena again. I dropped the hairbrush. My heart pounded. What the hell was happening to me? Mani, the final clue. That night, I found Elena's diary. Tucked away in a drawer, I flipped through the pages, and what I read made my skin crawl. Elena had written about me, about Maya Sharma. Pages and pages, Elena had dreamed of me. She had seen my accident, she had seen Sia, and then, on the last page, she had written, "I think I am Maya." I confronted David. I told him everything. That I wasn't Elena. That I remembered dying in Bangalore. That I had a daughter. He stared at me, horrified. And then, tears filled his eyes. "I know," he whispered. My breath caught. "What do you mean you know?" He swallowed. "Elena. She used to talk about you. I felt dizzy." David took my hands. "She dreamed about a woman named Maya for years. She always told me. She felt like she was living someone else's life." I'd staggered back, because I finally understood the truth. I wasn't just Maya, I was Elena too. Two lives, two souls, intertwined, connected, beyond time and death. And now, I had to choose. I stood in front of a mirror. My reflection shifted. Sometimes I saw Maya. Sometimes I saw Elena. Two women, one soul. I had a choice. Stay as Elena, or find a way back to Maya's life. But if I left, I would have to say goodbye to David. And if I stayed, I would never see Sia again. Tears filled my eyes. No matter what I chose, I would lose someone I loved. And then, I made my decision. But that is a story for another time.